Hey everybody, welcome to $2 Horror. I know it's been a minute. We had a death in the family, my mother, and Leah is working on some puppets and props. We're restructuring our long format, so we haven't posted in a little while. It's been a couple of months, so we apologize for that. We're going to be getting back to it real soon. While we were in Florida visiting my family, I was hanging out with my dad. Leah and I were hanging out at my dad's place, and we were just watching movies, you know. We watched this movie called Buffalo Soldier with Danny Glover. Real fantastic Western. And it just kind of got me on a kick, you know, and whenever I get on the Western kick, I immediately go to Unforgiven. Because not only is that the best Western ever made, it's just one of the most perfect movies ever made, I think. I love that movie.
You'd be William Money out of Missouri. Killing women and children.
That's right. I've killed women and children. Killed just about everything that walks or crawled at one time or another. And I'm here to kill you, Little Bill. What you did to Ned.
But the problem with doing that, of course, is that it's diminishing returns. I'm not super versed in the Western genre, really, so, you know, I always just go to Unforgiven and I love it, and then I'll watch Open Range, which is also very, very good. Not quite as on par as Unforgiven, but it's just all kind of downhill from there for me. And I know there are some really good Western movies if you know what to look for. I just haven't really found them yet. But like I said, I'm on a kick now, so I'm gonna start looking for those. But anyway, it kind of got me thinking I should do a Western horror for $2 Horror. And as you can imagine, when you Google that, a lot of garbage comes up. Really just awful cowboy vampires and stuff by Danzig, and just a lot of really bad stuff. But one movie that has been on my radar for a little while that I just haven't gotten to is 2015's Bone Tomahawk. Written and directed by S. Craig Zahler, based on his novel The Wraiths of the Broken Land, which I haven't read yet, but I did go ahead and throw that on my book list on Amazon. Plan on reading that very soon. We have Kurt Russell, the always excellent Richard Jenkins. You'll know him from so many movies, Cabin in the Woods being among them, 6 Feet Under. Patrick Wilson, we all know who he is. Matthew Fox from Lost and Party of Five. Lily Simmons, she is known for some show on Cinemax called Banshee. I haven't watched it. David Arquette, Sid Haig, you should know who that is. Zam McClarnon from the best TV show ever made, Reservation Dogs. And Evan Janicki. He was in The Night House, a mostly excellent horror movie from pretty recent. Had some scenes I wasn't really crazy about, CGI, but it was a good movie. I enjoyed it. This movie centers around these 4 men who are making this long, arduous journey across the desert. A couple of their loved ones have been abducted from them. And it's a visceral, shocking movie. Right away, the opening scenes just is shocking violence. You have David Arquette and Sid Haig, they're these murderers and thieves. The very opening scene is David Arquette slitting some guy's throat while he sleeps so that they can steal whatever he has, him and his companions who've also been murdered. And it's not like they're even carrying a lot of money or anything. These guys are just stealing, clothes and food and whatever money that they have on them. They're just rotten people. But as they're making their getaway, they're ambushed. Sid Haig kind of dies right away. He's only in the movie a few minutes, but David Arquette makes it out of there. He goes to the nearest town, which is the small town of Bright Hope, where Sheriff Kurt Russell is alerted to his presence. And so they meet at the local saloon, of course. Kurt Russell's asking him all kinds of questions, and he knows he's getting some bad answers.
Let me give you an easier question. Who'd you steal those clothes from?
I ain't stole nothing.
And he kind of lets him know that David Arquette introduces himself as Buddy. Obviously a fake name, but it's the only name that we're going to get for this character. He realizes that this conversation is turning south pretty quickly. He's like a jittery kind of guy anyway, so he gets up off his stool and tries to run, but Kurt Russell just plugs him in the leg. Of course, now they have a wounded man to tend for. They take him back to the sheriff station. What the hell do you even call that? A police station? I don't know. They take him back where the jail is. They send for the doctor, played by Patrick Wilson. Come to find out, he's recently injured his leg pretty badly, broken his shin or something. He's laid up in bed, sends his competent and knowledgeable wife, played by Lily Simmons. And this is kind of where the movie begins. Overnight, we see a stable boy. Here's some odd noises coming from the stables, the livery, and goes to check on it. Is brutally murdered by shadowy figures. Next morning, we find the doctor's wife and the deputy have been abducted. They all gather at the saloon to figure out what they're going to do. A Native American resident of Bright Hope, known only as the Professor, says he knows what's going on. It's this inbred cannibalistic tribe without a name or a language. He refers to them as the troglodytes.
You're afraid of your own kind?
They're not my kind. They're a spoiled bloodline of inbred animals that rape and eat their own mothers.
And they're like, great, you can show us where they live. And he says, nope, I can show you on the map, but you can kiss my ass. I'm not going. That starts these four men on their journey. We have Sheriff Hunt, played by Kurt Russell, Assistant Deputy Chicory, played by Richard Jenkins.
Oh, there's some good people in trouble, and I got to do what I can for them.
Dandy Gunslinger Bruder, played by Matthew Fox, and then Dr. Arthur, played by Patrick Wilson. And we have this very slow, deliberate pacing in this movie to kind of emphasize how long and difficult this journey is, especially when you have loved ones at the other end in danger. Who knows what's happening to them in the time it takes you to get there, but also you have to be prepared. You have to take care of yourself so that when you do get there, you're prepared to face whatever is there to face. You have to stay rested and fed and hydrated and stuff. And so they have to take their time. They have to do everything right in order to give themselves any hope of success. Along the way, of course, we learn a little bit more about each of these men. There's a particular scene where Bruder has wherever they lay camp, Bruder sets up this rudimentary alarm system with some wire and some bells. And lo and behold, one night as they sleep, some men approach the camp. They say, "Hey, we're unarmed. We're just hungry and thirsty. We're we're just looking for some kindness, and Bruder shoots them dead. Just shoots them dead without hesitation. And of course everybody's like, what the hell, man? But he's a pretty experienced guy. He says they're probably scouting for a raiding party. And offended as everybody is by what he's done, he's proven right. They are attacked later that same night, or maybe it's a different night. But they do get attacked. They manage to fend everybody off, but the scene was there obviously just to show us the nature of this guy, Bruder, and how he thinks. Patrick Wilson being wounded, he starts lagging behind, and he says, "Go on ahead. You know, I don't want to slow the journey down. Please, just get to my wife and make sure she's safe." So they mark the trail for him. They line up 4 stones in a row, so that he'll know this is the way that they went. And he's pretty much left behind. His leg is further injured at one point because he tries to get in a fist fight with Bruder, but being on a crutch as he is, he loses the crutch and further injures his leg. Assistant Deputy Chicory had some medical experience in the Civil War, and he says this leg needs to come off like right now. And Patrick Wilson is like, you can go to hell. Nah. So they leave him with some morphine. They're on their way. And the movie starts picking up a little, because we're well into the movie at this point, and it's starting to pick up a little. They get to the troglodyte lair, and they're immediately ambushed. Bruder loses a hand. He's shot through with arrows. He's like, just give me all the dynamite and get out of here. You know, I'm gonna take out as many of them as I can. Which would have been cool, but they never. I don't think he ever gets that chance. They kind of get to him real quick, and he's gone. So now it's just Sheriff Hunt and Assistant Deputy Chicory, and they are easily overpowered and captured. We've seen that the troglodytes live in this cave high up on a cliff face, and they get dragged up there and imprisoned. And this is where the most famous scene from this movie happens at this point. The doctor's wife and the deputy are still alive. They're also imprisoned, and the troglodytes drag out the deputy, and you just have this awful, brutal scene of his torture and murder.
All right. You send my possessions back to Michigan. Most of that stuff belonging to my brothers.
I'll send it.
Everybody's horrified, of course. They realize they have a flask filled with morphine on them still. And they trick the troglodytes into drinking it themselves. And the doctor's wife is like, well, one of them is definitely going to die because he took a huge freaking swig. And the other one is going to be out for a pretty long time. And then, you know, the third one is going to feel kind of funny. But, you know, later on they come back. It's pretty obvious that what the doctor's wife said has come to fruition, and they're pretty pissed off. So they drag Kurt Russell out. They slice open his side and they stick the flask into the wound. The flask, which has been sitting on coals for a long while, I might add. They're about to shoot him dead. They've picked up his rifle, and the only thing that's saving him right now is they don't know how the repeater rifle works. They don't know how to get it loaded. And Patrick Wilson shows up. He has somehow limped his way across the desert and bested a number of troglodytes. And how he got up this cliffside is anybody's guess, but nevertheless, here he is. He saves the day. Alas, Kurt Russell, Sheriff Hunt is not going to make it. Heartfelt goodbyes all around, and here the movie ends. The three survivors kind of walking off into the sunset. We hear 3 gunshots in the distance, so you know Sheriff Hunt has taken out a couple more of them, but his fate is sealed, and we're rolling credits. So this movie is really about, I don't know, I guess it's the fear of uncertainty. You know, you're living out in the middle of the desert in the 18 whatevers. You know, it's wild land. You have a lot of justified fears. You have a real reason to be afraid of a lot of things out there. But there's also this like cartoonish paranoia regarding anything that's unknown. You're distrustful of everybody. You think the worst of everybody. You got to prepare for the worst of everybody. And you know, as it happens in this movie, you know, sometimes it turns out to be true. You know, your fears were justified, and other times not so much. The director didn't use a lot of close-ups in this movie. Even when you're in tight quarters, like in the cave, a lot of the shots are wide. He said, you know, when you're talking with people in real life, unless you're really close and intimate to them, you know, you have like a wider feel, and when you do a lot of close-ups, you know, you lose body language, you use hand gestures and stuff like that, which I thought was a really clever way to film this movie. The cave that the troglodytes live in is the same cave that Iron Man was shot in, and apparently some scene from the show Weeds. This is a really just a good movie. I highly recommend watching this movie if you haven't already. I'm looking forward to watching this 2, 3, 4 more times. It's just fantastic. I absolutely loved it. Can't say enough good about it. So please go watch this movie. You won't regret it, or maybe you will. I mean, the violence is really unsettling in this movie, but it never feels out of place. It never feels unnecessary. There's some nudity earlier in the movie that seemed a little unnecessary to me. It felt a little bit gratuitous, but what are you gonna do? Excellent movie. Check it out. Don't let people give you a bunch of shit for watching movies all the time because their world sucks. Please like, subscribe, share, all that YouTube stuff. Like I said earlier, we got more Portal B coming soon, hopefully in the next 2 to 3 weeks. More $2 horror coming up soon. So stay tuned, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.